Be ready, be ready, be ready, be ready, be ready.
REDDY, resilience in my eyes, education, discipline, determination, and that's why.
Be ready, be ready, be ready, be ready, be ready.
All right. It's another Ready Pipeline podcast. I believe this is episode 7, man. I believe this is episode 7. We've been getting it in, been digging into some serious topics, some important, critical issues and concepts that are having to do with from educators to everything that works around the concept of education and development and community, and how we our collaborative work and efforts that builds us up from generation to generation as we flow, as we try to position ourselves to be everything that we must be for our children, for our students. So man, hey, let's keep it going. Ready Pipeline, the pipeline flowing to our full power. Hey, let's get it cracking, man. I'm excited to be in the mix with you, Coach Ted, Coach T. Hey, you know what it is. Let's kick it out right, baby. Let them know who you are. Let's go.
Already, it's Mr. Be Ready. Stay ready. Already, it's me, Ted T. Hey guys, it's you know what time it is. You know how me and Coach Day, when we get together, hey, we go stir the pot. We go stir the pot, and look, we might not even have the right ingredients. We might not even have a recipe, but hey, you go get a meal. You go get food.
Get something out of it now. Let's go eat.
Nutrients.
I'm going in your belly.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
Hey man, warriors, wake up, soldiers, check in. What mission are we on today? Man, this Coach J. Listen, I am excited. I'm fired up. We back. Hey, we coming. We finna pour it in. Hey, what comes to mind, we gonna let it flow. We gonna let it go, but we gonna grow in the process. And that's the mission, man. So, hey, man, how your week been going, bro?
You know what, my week, it's been long. I'm gonna say that, man. It's been long on my campus. People don't know I'm on an extended campus, so we actually started in July. Mm-hmm. So our kids, we're a month ahead, and so if we're a month ahead, that means we're pushing like for us mentally. We're past Thanksgiving, and we getting ready for Christmas break mentally, and I can tell our students need that mental break. But they did have a fall break. We had one day. They had about 3-4 days of a fall break, but I'm feeling good. I've been punched in the mouth before. I've been, I didn't got hit and
know what it feel like. Shake it off.
Yeah. So we good. We good. This is all new for me. Some of the students are returning, so they actually, this program was kind of set up on last year. So this is my first year in it. So I'm adjusting. I'm having to make some adjustments mentally and just in the marathon you kind of know. I'm gonna give an analogy. When I run, I love running. I'm a runner, guys, and so I love to run trails. But I kind of switch it up because I always know landmarks, and when I get to certain landmarks, my mental kind of tell me we normally get tired right here, and we normally like you don't feel this way right here. You need to take a rest at this, and so that's where. And I've been on cruise control throughout these few school years, and so now I'm running a race. I'm running a course that's unfamiliar to me, so I don't know when to get tired or how to get tired or when I'm supposed to get water. I'm just going. I'm going. So that's where I am now. But I can feel it. I can feel the little fatigue hitting in. But like I said, I've been knocked down before. I'm good.
Absolutely. No, I love that, man, and I love that analogy, man, because I'm one of them people that don't, in the traditional sense of the word, I don't love to run, but I know that running is something that has, it creates a challenge, and it creates an opportunity to, if you can get engaged with running, you have the ability to grow. You have the opportunity to grow and really mentally, physically, it takes you to a place that you have to question, you have to answer some questions in your mind as you taking it on. And because of the challenge of it, I love that. I don't love to do it, but I love the challenge that it presents, man. So, man, hey, and get that's a lot to do. It has a lot to do when you engage in this educational space. Is that it ain't in the traditional sense, you know, all of the challenges and all the obstacles and all the bureaucracies and different things that happen. You don't love everything that's happening when you looking at it, but when you get in it and understand that it all represents or presents an opportunity to learn, to grow, to engage lives and make impact. It is that journey that you fall in love with, man. So, hey, I love that analogy, bro. I love that analogy, man. I know, hey, that we want to dig into something tonight. We want to dig into some real power, and I'm glad that we're talking about challenge. I'm glad that we're talking about you know, everything that happened when you feeling fatigue. A lot of times, you know, when we get in situations where we start to feel internally some anguish, some anxiety, some you know, some things that start to rear up when we getting frustrated in our positions, whether we are teachers, whether we administrators, whether we parents, whether we are community leaders, and we engage in community development, we engage in urban education. There are some frustrations and things that may have been pent up, man, and we talking about even on the level of traumas, where we have past traumas that we have never healed from, but they still reside in us. And because they still reside in us, we carry them with us into our day-to-day lives, into the day-to-day operate, how we engage other people. And a lot of times we don't pay attention there. Like, we'll judge each other, we'll call each other names and say, we'll put characteristics on people, but really the people that we characterize in a negative way is still dealing with trauma that they never healed from. And that's why interactions are happening. And we always say that with children, because when you see a child that you've seen them come in with a good attitude, then you see them come in, they ain't look, that mood ain't looking the same. You know, they ain't talking, they quiet. And when they usually joyous, they usually, you know, as a teacher, you taught to recognize, okay, something going on, something's happening, something, you know, before they got here, something ain't right in the background, and you know, something is bothering them internally, and you're supposed to recognize that. Well, guess what? That is the case also with us as adults, those that are supposed to be professionals, those that are supposed to be, you know, have our hands around the minds of our children, those that are supposed to be in higher executive positions and administrative positions that are supposed to make these high-level decisions about people's lives and about, you know, how direction that people are going to go. The same processes of traumas that go unhealed and things that happen in our backgrounds also affect us as we come to the table, as we come to you know, into the trenches on a daily basis, man. So I think it's extremely important that especially at this time of year where we, you know, you like you say, you pretty much 3 months into this thing this year, and it's starting to wear in. And, you know, a lot of people are getting frustrated. A lot of people are already resigned. You know, we've had all types of stuff that happened. But a lot of times it's not just what's happening at the surface that causes people to, you know, throw in the towel or causes people to react negatively or explode and blow up. But it's really things that are on the inside. And I think that's important for us to address as we're talking about really building that pipeline to our highest power, to address those internal things that a lot of times we don't address and we don't heal from. What's your thoughts on that, bro?
No, you you're dead on with what you're saying, because I've seen, oh, I can't stand that child, or no, don't send him, or don't send her. No, you're not to come to my class. And I get it, because I've been there as well. I've been there. I've been on both sides. I've been the student that the teacher didn't want, and I've been the teacher that the student that I didn't want the student, because they do push certain buttons. They do, but what have the thing that I've done, I've always go back to seeing myself. Most of the time I work with students that I'm familiar with. And when I say familiar with, I'm saying those students that I see myself in. Like those are the students I lean on, or I kind of cradle, because it's a cry. I know that cry. That's a familiar cry. That you're doing something that I know that you would you ask them for help, but you just do it in the most ugly way. I had teachers, oh, he managed, or he's this and he's that. Now they're stating the problem. Well, they're stating the surface of the problem, it's the topsoil of it, but not getting to the root.
There you go.
And so I needed some root help as a kid. I needed a lot of root help. And me being a late 70s baby and growing up in the 80s and teenage years in the 90s, I dealt with a lot of I think it was a culture thing where we swept a lot of things under the rug. And just because we didn't speak on it, we thought it disappeared, or it was going to be forgotten, or it wouldn't grow, or whatever the reason why. Because I had to have some heart-to-heart talks with my parents. Like, just we had some snot, we had some crying moments of my mom. I stated this on the podcast before, me dealing with molestation, and I finally opened up. I was 30 years old, in my 30s. I was in probably my early 30s with my ex-wife, and I opened up, and then my ex-wife said something to my mom about it, and then my mom, we had our little kumbaya moment, and my mom like, I can't believe you still remember that. Like, no, I remember. I can tell you what I was wearing. I can tell you what I was doing. I can tell you how I was lured in this house. I can tell you everything. And I had to fight. I fought with that for years. I fought with that, and it was an internal fight. And people not knowing why I was acting the way I didn't know why I was acting the way I was acting. Man, I'm gonna tell you how this year came full circle for me. And I think I stated this on the podcast before, that the school I'm at, I was at this school at the beginning of my career, about my teaching career. This was about 14 years ago, I believe. Yeah, about 14 years ago, at the same school we had dyslexia training. And in dyslexia training, they talked about certain things, but then they went into trauma, and they started to talk about certain things. And I know I struggle with reading. Didn't know why. I just know I struggled with reading, and I found ways around it. I was still able to get a college degree without even having, the proper, without even having help. I didn't have the manipulatives. I didn't have all those things. I just kind of winged it and figured it out, and I had my own system. And so anyway, when it spoke about things with the dyslexia, and they spoke about trauma, and that was the first time the onion was kind of peeled back for me. So when I heard that, and I started thinking about what my situation, and then I started to Google, I started to read, and then I started having a breakthrough. And that was a transition for me as a man. Like I kind of look back and I said, damn, man, you know what? I was a grown boy. Like I was a 30-plus-year-old boy. And because I never healed from that. I never took care of that 4-year-old that was molested. I never took care of that. And so there it was. I fought with that. Just being promiscuous, being, wanting to be accepted, never wanting to be kind of alone. Like it was all these things was from something. It wasn't just because. And so I had my breakthrough. And so I see a lot of that in our student. It might not be molestation. It could be, any type of childhood trauma. And I'm seeing not only that from our student, but I see it from our coworkers. I see it from prior coworkers that dealt with certain things, and how they react to kids, how they react to conflict, how they react when things are not going their way. And so I just pray that they get a chance to have that breakthrough, and when you start to study yourself, you start to see certain things about yourself, and then it makes it easier to see other things in other people. But when you see it in other people, you don't judge. You don't judge. You try to put things in place to get that help, to get that proper assistance where they're lacking, or what the root is. And you know, even if it's not there, I'm just, hey, talk to the counselor. Hey, you might want to check on, you might want, you know. So I've come, you know, and it was all due time. I think it was in the right season. I think it was all this was meant to be, for me to be an educator, for me to be in the position I'm in now, because I went through those things, and I went through them, quote unquote, alone, but I figured it out. And I'm still figuring it out. Like I'm actually in counseling now. Like I'm still, like I still want to stay on top of it. I don't want to lose the momentum that I have. And I'm very, like, inside, like I'm feeling probably the best I've felt in a long time. Just like I'm free. Yeah, I'm free. But
No,
I hope I answer
absolutely.
your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think that your story, man, is very powerful, and you know, really exposing that and being vulnerable in that way. And I think it is a true lesson and understanding for all of us as the village. And I always come back to this because this is critical, that we see ourselves as the village, as the community that is in position to raise, rear, guide, and protect our children, and really help them and guide them towards who they were created to become. And really understanding that in order for us to be that village that's supposed to take on those mandates, it is important for us to first take that look inside of ourselves. Because I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I want it to be clear, and I'm very, and you know, when I say something, I'm very serious about it. It is extremely dangerous when you come into a important position, such as an educator, such as a youth leader, you are in some position where your decision making, your influence can affect and impact the lives of other people, whether it be children, whether it be adults, whether it be community entities. That you come in understanding who you are and understanding what is affecting and influencing the way that you interact, the way that you engage, the way that you experience other people and experience situations. Because if those traumas, like you spoke about, if they have not been addressed, then at some point, regardless of if it happened when we were, teenagers, or when we were in adolescence or juvenile stages, if it has not been healed, it has not been, there's no intervention that happened, has not been no reconciliation, no resolution. Even when 20 to 25, 30, 40 years later, when we engage and in our subconscious, and that situation arises in some shape or fashion, that unhealed scar is going to come to the surface, and it's going to reveal itself in real time. And it just may be to the detriment of ourselves or somebody that we supposed to be raising, rearing, guiding, protecting, or building up. And that's why a lot of times we see all of these different negative interactions. Unless we can go even further when we're talking about these school shootings, these mass shootings. You got former students that coming back into schools and they shooting at the teachers and others. You can just imagine, and this is something that's been talked about before with bullying, the concept of bullying. When somebody is bullied for year after year, and they feel like nobody was there to help them or guide them or protect them, and it happens over time. Guess what? Those scars, that trauma that they felt when they felt unprotected, they felt like they were vulnerable, they felt like nobody was on their side. That builds up, that scarring builds up. And guess what? Just because time goes by, if that has not been some real healing and gotten to that root that you talked about, guess what? At some point, it's going to rear itself back up, right? It's a saying that says, basically, it's an African proverb that says, if the village does not take care, and I'm saying, I'm paraphrasing, if the village does not take care of its young, then the young are going to warm themselves. The youth are going to warm their hands with the fire of the village. So basically saying, if the village don't take care of the children, they're going to warm themselves after they burn the village down, right? You know what I'm saying? So we have to take a step back and look at, okay, how am I coming into what I engage on a daily basis? Am I coming in with the clear conscience? Have I addressed everything inside of me? Have I taken the time to really understand what I'm dealing with? What are the things and that means going back, critical reflection processes that allows me to think back and really go back through my experiences, no matter how heavy, no matter how traumatizing, people that you've engaged, family members, people that, that things happen and nobody was there. All of these things, we got to address them. I know it's tough. It's tough. And I'm saying from experience, it's tough. I'm saying, listen, all of us have something. That's why we can't even afford to judge. It's crazy. That's the thing. That's what a bit is about. It's crazy. It becomes more and more crazy for us in this when we get engaged in the dysfunctionality of judging each other on, through Instagram and all these other things. Where we coming at each other, we attacking each other, men and women. And this big thing about men and black women coming for each other, and women ain't this and men ain't. Listen, we are talking about each other, but you're really talking about that person that never healed. You ain't talking about the true person, the true essence of the natural greatness of that person. You talking about people that have traumas that were never healed. That ain't even a real person. That's a person at the surface. You ain't even talking about the true person, right? So that dynamic has to change, and it's extremely dangerous, especially in education. Let me bring it back to education. And when we coming in as teachers with such great responsibility of the minds of the future in our hands, and we coming in with unhealed trauma, and then when that student reacts in a way that reminds us, even if we don't recognize it, it reminds us of something that we had to deal with when we was that age. We react to them based on how we had to live it when we was 11, right? And it causes an issue. But now you're in a position of power. This is one of the issues that they have with police, right? Because the people that was bullied, back in the day, they never got no healing. They never got protected. They become police. Now that they have authority, have a position of authority. Boom, now it plays back out when they see the same behaviors in their position. Hey, and now they react a certain way based on unhealed past trauma. So it's extremely dangerous if we don't take them steps that you discussed, brother, with getting that type of rehabilitation, that type of therapy, that type of release, where we able to get it out in some kind of way. We able to release it either through journaling, so many different ways that we can do this. That self-care, we talked about that in the beginning, but it goes even deeper when you're dealing with the trauma. You have to go even deeper below the surface to even be able to engage in a way that's meaningful, that's empathetic to the issues and the deeper dynamics that we dealing with when we talk about our youth and our families. We have to come with it takes a long time to heal, but we have to be in the process of healing and be able to recognize and be aware of our own growth and aware of how our traumas can affect other people's traumas if we do not come in a way that is empathetic to what other people are dealing with, whether it be children, whether it be parents, whether it be other people that we are connected with in our lives. So that's extremely powerful, brother. And man, this is a critical. We might have to come back to this again because
absolutely,
this is a big part of the success and effectiveness of any type of entity, especially in the educational space, man. This concept of, I know this, and guess what? It's the terminology is there in social emotional approaches, but how deep? How deep are we willing to go as far as understanding that it's not just the children, right? It's just as important for teachers, administrators, and everybody that's engaged in the process to have that same type of social emotional processing and development and growth consistently and collectively. So man, this is huge, brother. So I'm definitely, man, if you got anything to add to that, but this is extremely important as we going forward and we trying to transform the way that, educational spaces operate and trying to change the performance and the outcomes. This is extremely important, man.
No, you're correct. And I think our judgment get cloudy a little bit, or our plates get a little full due to when we become adults. So now, we family, the children, work, and you may even be working another job. You have to deal with, you may have parents, I can say it's a lot of things that you have to deal with. And it clouds your judgment to the point where you don't take care of you, what you stated earlier about self-care. And you always, because when you're your best self, when you're your best self, you do your best job, you do your best work when you're your best self. And so in order, that analogy about in the airplane, if they say the plane going down, they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, because if you can't help yourself first, if you can't breathe, how you go help somebody else breathe? You know what I'm saying? How you go give somebody else life or help someone else proceed life or get through certain things when you're not healing, you're not whole. So that's the thing. And I would encourage the campus, the districts to put things in place that the teachers can have a safe place to go and be it a therapist. And I know sometimes you don't want to share certain things because it's connected to your job, but even having something, if it's not just tied to the insurance, like just giving your teachers a safe place to be able to be open, vulnerable, be able to see, let me see if I do have issues, because sometimes we don't even know. Sometimes, like I say, I spoke about culturally, like just culture-wise, it's some things that wasn't right that in our mind, because we saw it from not only our parents, we saw it from our aunts and our uncles and people in the community. We saw it happen here. We saw all these things, and everybody was doing it. Everybody was, hiding things, whatever it was. And so we may just be on a like blind to culture and not knowing that I am dealing with trauma. Like sometimes, trauma, you can go through some dramatic things. Like I went through some things other than that, when I got to college, I was this, people call me paranoid. Like, when somebody drive, like if I'm at a red light,
driving slow.
two cars behind. Man, I'm always, when I go into a restaurant, I don't ever want my back to the door. Absolutely. Or you know what I'm saying? Well, when I go in a place, I need to know, okay, how many exits is it? Where I need to, but that comes from trauma, because where I'm from, like, bro, it's something going down, and you better have you got to be 4 steps ahead. That's trauma. And so, but some people but there was culture at that time. There was culture. That's just the way we operated. And so, sometimes when you don't, and not if you can't get with a therapist or a counselor or someone that you can talk it out with, so find your group. Like at this point now, you go on social media and find groups, and you can put in anything in Google, and it's people out there dealing with the same thing you're dealing with, and you can have that safe place, that safe haven. And even if you don't want to speak on it, you can just listen in, or you can read about it, and you'll be able to connect. Oh man, this person went through. Oh man, that happened. And so, because I did the same thing. I read up on other people. I was listening to things on YouTube about people that I could relate to, and it was just like, man, I'm not alone in this, and when you're not alone in it, I think that give you that it almost give you it give you that sense of I can speak on it, I'm not so ashamed of it, because it has happened to someone else. So, hey, basically, don't let that cut. You get that cut, and that cut. You can put a Band-Aid on it, but that Band-Aid, it'll bleed through the Band-Aid, but it not only bleed through the Band-Aid, it bleed on everybody you come in contact with.
Absolutely.
It don't have nothing to do with, the initial issue, but, because you didn't take care of it, you bleeding out on everyone.
Absolutely. Can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Definitely not.
No, absolutely, brother. And and I know we coming to a close, but another thing that I've had to do, and I'm talking about me personally, is that I've been on this journey to really get to the most powerful version of myself, because I want to know what that looks like, what that feels like, how that operation in the world looks like when I'm operating. I'm talking about the highest level of what I be when my mind, body, and spirit is aligned in a way, and I'm engaging my vision, and I'm connecting with people in at the highest level of myself. And one of the things that I've had to do over the last 30 to 60 days is that I've had to disconnect from all of the noise, right? You know, it's important when we're trying to heal from something, that a lot of the things that we listen to, and I'm talking about all the images and messages that come in from social media, and you know, it may be from some of us, it's from the music we listen to, it's from the, you know, what we watching on TV, from reality show, all these different things. We always got something going in our ears, and we watching, we looking, we listening to everything, we scrolling, you know. One of the things that I've had to do is really disconnect from a lot of the noise so I can hear what's inside of me, right? You know, we talk about our connection to God, a creator, whatever you believe in. You know, one of the things that and this is me talking for me, is that one of the ways I've been able to hear from the creator is that I've had to disconnect from all of the noise, the external, you know, voices and noise and images, and really just allow myself to go inside and hear, you know, spiritually, what steps I need to take, how I need to move, how I need to envision, you know, going forward, you know, looking at what am I engaged, what am I going forward towards, and starting to visualize it, and you know, starting to talk to myself differently, and build myself, all these things, because many of us say a lot of negative things to ourselves on a daily basis and don't even realize it. But a lot of times those things that we are saying to ourselves are just, you know, it's us emanating what we've been listening to, the types of interactions that we've been watching on reality show, we've been watching and listening to in our music. It's just a playing out of what has went into our subconscious. So one of the strategies, in addition to getting, you know, therapy and connecting with other people who are, you know, flowing through that same journey, is taking also time to ourselves, disconnecting, and really going inside of ourselves to really tap into what we have naturally inside of us. Because I'm a true believer, and that's one of the things I've always been able to do is see natural genius and greatness in people, and especially my youth. And understanding that, man, naturally you're a powerful young warrior. Naturally, you have a natural genius in you that you've been created to implement into the world, to expose and show and impact the world. It's naturally in you, but over your period of time in your life, it's been other influences and external voices and images and things that have pulled you away, or have blurry, you know, that vision. So now it's time to disconnect from it and start to get clarity again, so that you can see how phenomenal, how powerful your purpose is, so that we can begin to flow in, and you get into that flow. And I know we talked about this last time, that it's time for us to start flowing in that vision, start to flow in our natural greatness. But the only way we can do that, we gotta disconnect from things that disrupt the flow. That's the only way that we can get into. And it's a beautiful thing that when we are in a situation, whether we in a school, whether we are in a community, whether you in a business, whether you are operating in an organization, when everybody is in that flow and they understand how powerful they are individually, and we are connecting collectively, and we have a synergy and our energy is flowing forward, the things that we can accomplish is unstoppable. And that's the beautiful reality that I want us to get to. Right, because we've had phenomenal communities before that have shown and displayed that type of flow, but now it's time for us to get back to getting into our flow as a collective of people, so that we can truly impact future generations, and they can have a true understanding of what it looks like to be a part of powerful communities, man, and they can experience what that is. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about people being able to heal from traumas, to be able to tap into remembering, not only remembering, but being able to resolve and come to some reconciliation with the things that we've had to deal with in our past, right? Finding healing and finding answers for things we've had to deal with, so that you don't you know, bleed out into other people, affecting other people's trauma, that you are a light for other people because you understand what you've been through, you're more empathetic, and also us tapping into ourselves, disconnecting from all of the confusion, the dysfunction, so that we can truly start to flow towards our greatness, man. So, hey, I believe it's on. So let's go get it, brother. I appreciate you, man. Well, hey, what you got for the people, man? Let's close it out. Let's go get it, man.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. Let's do it. I know you can do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. If you need well, if you know anybody that need this podcast, if we're not particularly talking to you, make sure you share it. Share it. You know, we try to be as transparent as possible so we can get the best results possible for our youth. Not only for our youth, even for the adults. You know, we that's what we're here for. And are we perfect? Not by any means. Not by any means. Have we figured it all out? Nah, we hadn't figured it all out. But the things that we have figured out, the things that we are close to perfect, things that we have perfected, we good at that. And so, but listen to, we here for you. Any teachers, and look, we still looking for guests. We have any educators that want to come on and be a guest. Hey, make sure you hit us up. You can hit us up on social media. I'll put the information on the end of, well, you'll see it on the end of the podcast. It's REDDYTEDT.com, and you can give also, Coach Jay, give your website.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pipelineofpower.com. That's pipeline, the number 2 power.com. Definitely could connect with me at any point. Coach Jay at pipelineofpower.com.
Okay, so yeah, we'll post that,
and we of course we on the social medias, man. Instagram, Facebook, you know, we ain't hard to find.
Yeah, definitely not hard to find. So we're here for you. We appreciate you guys. I want y'all to just say, stay strong, stay in the pocket, in the pocket, and stay strong.
Oh man, let's go.
I'm gonna close it out with my nice remarks. And well, I gave you my remarks. I'm giving my shout out. I want you to be ready. I want you to stay ready, and I want you to be all ready. It's me, Ted T.
Yes, sir. Hey, let's go get it today. We on a mission. Hey, we ain't stopping till we accomplish it, man. See the vision, make a decision, and pursue it. Get into the flow and go get it, baby. Let's go get it. So,
already.
Be ready.